Hello fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another Star Wars Black Series figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that is essentially a companion piece and one that you may consider buying multiples of to flank a figure that I have just reviewed. And just touching base on that, I take a look at Moff Gideon in Dark Trooper armour, a figure that I'm sure a lot of you will be highly anticipating. However, I've got some very choice words to say about this thing, so I implore you to check that review out if you are considering picking this one up. Very big buyer beware. Anyways, with that in mind, we're going to be taking a look at the Praetorian Guard, or Imperial Praetorian Guard, not to get mixed up with the First Order Praetorian Guard, of which there's a lot of. I always forget the specific amount, and it's interesting to talk about those actually, because Hasbro did make all the versions of the First Order Praetorian Guard in various different ways to get them. There was a standard release, there was a Amazon exclusive, and then there was one that was packed in a multi-figure pack. Although really you need multiples of those figures, because Snoke has a lot of equal numbers there. However, certain versions are just incredibly hard to find, and I would have loved to have got all the versions in the right multiples to have that epic Last Jedi fight sequence displayed as a diorama with all the appropriate characters there, right? So FOMO set in with this one, and I ended up buying two Praetorian Guards. Just because I know it's a standard release, I should be able to get a third one relatively easy, because Moff Gideon has 3 Praetorian Guards flanking him. But FOMO just set in even more, and I thought, you know what, let's just get this done. And I bought a third one. So I have all the Praetorian Guards needed to flank him. But we'll touch a bit more base on that shortly, because there's someone bound to correct me in the comments. So of course, before we take a look at the figures, we're going to take a look at the packaging. As always, you've got that lovely Star Wars Black Series logo at the top there. Lovely window display where you can see the figure and all the accessories that it comes with. Lovely backdrop, which is faded into that colour banding just at the bottom there. Really does offset the figure quite nicely. You've got the name of the character on the side, the number, name of the media on that colour banding, bit of legalese there, not much going on the side other than Star Wars Black Series. On the other side, lovely image of the character that just fades into that colour banding, and the name on the back, image again, Star Wars Black Series, name of the character, a bio, which I will include in the description down below, number of the character immediately appears in, and a ton of legal garb at the bottom there and at the bottom there as well. Nothing really going on the top. So that's the packaging out the way and done with. Let's now take a look at the figure, or figures, depending on how many you're going to get. So here we have the Imperial Praetorian Guard. Of course, I've got 2 of them here, sporting the 2 different accessories that the figure individually does come with. So if we just move one of them out of the way and take a look at the figure in much more detail, I have to say I really do like the look of this armour. There's something very Imperial Mandalorian crossover to this, which is pretty synonymous with Moff Gideon's troopers, the Imperial Commandos, of which is a figure I have reviewed. Check out my review of that, link will be up there. But this one kind of has the nice little in-between point of the Royal Imperial Guard to the First Order Praetorian Guard. It's a nice little sandwich design aesthetic between those two, which I think is really cool. Particularly with the weapons as well, because standardly Imperial Guards just had their little sticks that they typically wielded. Of course, they have this side pistol as well. Thank you, Expanded Universe, I'm assuming. But then these guys actually have 3 different weapons, although this particular figure, important to note, only comes packed with 2. But again, we'll get into that more in the accessories department. But just to continue with the point, you get the First Order Praetorian Guards, and they have a vast assortment of different weapons that they utilise, and indeed armour variations as well. So that's something that I just really liked about Mandalorian. There's a little bit of tidbits there that make acknowledgement to the sequel trilogy and design aesthetics, while also similarly paying homage to the original trilogy. But just taking a close look at this guy, love that Imperial bucket helmet. There's a very Mandalorian-esque aesthetic going on there, very old Mandalorian aesthetic. Rather than having the T-visor, you've got this very V-shaped one, which just looks really, really badass. Then just coming around, the armour plating isn't quite as jagged as the First Order one. It's a bit more refined like the Imperial, but you can see more armour plating getting involved there. I would also say, in terms of the chest armour, I feel like that's reuse. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am. There's no denying it, there's certainly some similarities aesthetically to the Sith Trooper Final Order armour in terms of the chest design just there. It's very, very similar, not just because of the colour, but in terms of its actual design aesthetic and the First Order back armour and front armour look. As we come down, you've got some soft goods going on with the back cape tucked under the armour. You've got some armour plating just on the thighs there. Very, very nice plastic utilisation, and soft goods skirt. And then just coming to the legs, I feel like the legs are reuse again from the First Order Praetorian Guard, though I could be completely wrong. I've just got a feeling that it has, because you've got the exposed joint peg pins there. But again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I definitely get the same vibe that it is, though. I feel like I'm about 80% sure that those are the First Order Praetorian Guard legs. Which again, makes sense. It's fine for them to reutilise parts, as long as it's not a detriment to the figure. And of course, these are mostly going to be covered up by the soft goods, so that's not going to really affect things too much, at least for my mileage. So yeah, really love the aesthetic and design choices with this particular trooper. They are quite a menace in series. Now, the only thing is, Hasbro's done a sneaky. They have included two different accessories with this figure. So you've got the whip that does have some flecks of purple in it, some nice silver detailing, and of course the handle. It's a very soft plastic, so you could probably heat this plastic up and maybe mould it into a more dynamic pose, although it is quite dynamic as is anyway out of the box. But he does come with that, which is quite nice. Then he also comes with the big spear axe that one of them does use in the show. I would have really preferred it though if on this weapon they'd made the blade a translucent purple. It's kind of disappointing that it is just a block silver. Equally disappointing as well is the fact that this weapon does separate into two in the show. It splits literally where you can see just this notch. So it's really disappointing that Hasbro hasn't done that, because they could have easily done it. They could have easily had this split into two. They can do it with lightsabers. Why couldn't they have done it with this particular weapon? Yeah, a little bit disappointing, but if you do end up buying multiples of this, you're going to end up with a spare one that you could just cut in half yourself. So there's that. So there's three troopers that have three different weapons. So we've got two of those. The only one that's missing, unfortunately, Hot Toys has got us covered on this. So you've got this one that Hasbro's done and this one that Hasbro's done, but not this one, of which for the longest time I thought this weapon was similar to that, but it's not. It's a bit more straight edge and it doesn't have the additional stabby knife here. Yeah, not sure why Hasbro couldn't have just included the third accessory. Seems a little bit cheap to me why they couldn't have done that. Alas, I bought another one just so I could have them wielding a similar sort of weapon to it. It's close enough for my mileage. Again, those of you out there may disagree with me. I'm sure some 3D printers out there will get to work and make that additional accessory, and when they do, I probably will end up picking that up. But for now, this is a nice little stand-in to my third. It's fine. Yeah. A little bit frustrating in terms of the accessory front. It should have come with all, although I can foresee Hasbro making the one that's missing and making that an exclusive. Only time will tell with that. It's just the likelihood from what they've done before in the past. It is what it is. Moving on to the articulation, he has a ball joint in the head, a ball joint in the neck, so you can get some really great manoeuvrability in that. Butterfly joints in the shoulders, so you can really move those arms in and out. Ball jointed shoulders as well, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, you've got some great motion there, I have to say. Ball jointed hips, and now the ugly head rises as there's no thigh swivel once again. Part of me can forgive it on this particular figure. I know I've moaned about it, but this one, because the cloak does kind of conceal it, then it doesn't matter too much. Although in terms of the leg movement, it's just always nice to have that thigh swivel, so you can just amend the legs slightly so you've not got the bow-leggedness, just to make some of the posing a bit more natural. You can sort of swivel this leg a bit, the ball joint, to get a bit of a turn. It's not as good as you'd really want. I've not had too much of a problem posing this guy for what I need without that thigh cut swivel, so I'm not going to ring too much home about it. So you've got double jointed knees and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints as well. So you can get this guy still in some really, really good dynamic fighting poses, which is what you really want, because you're going to want this guy either displayed as part of a free with Moff Gideon, or duking it out with Paz Vizsla, or even the Mandalorian and Grogu in the IG-12. I surprisingly really do like this one, with some of the little gripes aside in terms of the accessories not being quite perfect. It still looks the absolute part on shelf and display. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do. The figure itself motivated me just to go over the edge and buy the third one. It wasn't just FOMO, it was due to the figure itself. If you do really want to get a Praetorian Guard, an Imperial Praetorian Guard for that fact, then I highly recommend this one, and I do indeed recommend picking up 3 of them, just in case Hasbro don't do that third weapon variant. But again, it's entirely up to you. It depends your affinity with this figure. For me, I absolutely do recommend it. Really do surprisingly like it quite a bit. That's just me and my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Sound off, and well, this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.